Was a dark storyteller, and today's guest is no different. Taking after his favorite author, he takes the same approach to the short films he creates. Having been an independent filmmaker for the better part of a decade, he's gravitated toward the darker and more psychologically evil side of the storytelling world. Today, we'll get a chance to see some of his works, get to know what he learned during the semester, and what he may have planned for his future projects. The Humanities Mass Communications Department at Norwalk Community College presents The New Directors, the show that introduces you to television's future writers, directors, and personalities. And now, join our host, Deb Randall, to meet the next new director.
Thank you for joining us for today's edition of The New Directors. All the people involved with this program are students in the television production course and are directing, switching, controlling audio, operating cameras, and acting as talent for the first time today. The guests you will meet are students who, when not on camera, are behind the scenes working hard to bring this program to you each and every week. Throughout the semester, students wrote and directed 3 unique productions. This program will give them the opportunity to tell a little bit about themselves, the productions they worked on, a chance to show their work that they made throughout the semester. Our guest today is a student at UConn Stanford as a hobby and independent filmmaker. During the semester, he discovered that he may enjoy working in the television studio more than the film world. I'd like you to meet today's guest, Jamie Russo. Jamie, you've been an independent filmmaker for a few years now and have made a few short films yourself. As we watch clips from a couple of your movies, why don't you tell us about the inspiration for them and some tidbits about the production?
Sure. The first one is called Rub One Out, and it was pretty much a phase that I was going through watching a lot of Japanese gore movies, and I wanted to create something sort of along those lines, but figured out that my friends were actors and they couldn't really say the lines too well, so I had to change it completely and went to a completely different direction. One of the things I was happy with that came out was the cinematography in it. That's one thing I pride myself on. I always try to make each picture look like a photograph. And the locations that we used actually complemented that. Like this one is actually a hallway at work, and put the light behind her, and so that it created a sort of a bloom effect and silhouetting her frame. And this was a location that we had to use because every other location got screwed up, and that was at the very end, and so that was the only thing we could do. Now this other one is an adaptation of The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. Love Edgar, love all of his stories, and I think this is his most versatile, so it could pretty much translate to any decade, and that's why I chose it. Production changed again at the last minute, person backed out, but everybody pulled through, and I think did a really good job with it. Again, cinematography I was really happy with. And in the future, probably going to do some more Edgar Allan Poe work, and probably an adaptation of The Black Cat, and try to do an animated short rather than a film. So we'll see how it comes out.
Great. Can you tell us why you decided to take the film and production course?
I already had a background in film, obviously, but I wanted to get experience in the television field. And knowing that they had the full-fledged studio here, I think it would give me the best opportunity to learn and possibly progress into the television field. As I'm getting towards graduation, I wanted to take more classes that I enjoyed rather than cookie-cutter classes that every college makes you take. And UConn really doesn't offer them much, so UConn was NCC was a natural transition, so here I am.
Great. What are some of the areas of the course in which you felt you learned the most?
Definitely the television studio. Just being there and seeing how the production works, how the CG works, switching everything, and actually being here with you, talking back and forth, and just getting the experience on how an actual television production works. I mean, that's something you can't get anywhere else unless you somehow get a job in there, and you're not going to get a job in the television field unless you have some experience, so natural to come here.
Great. You worked on 4 projects during the semester. Please tell us about your action sequence, the Guns N' Hoses commercial, Winter Project, and your Campus Orange story.
The action sequence, I used Ellie, and it was just something to learn about framing and just expand on the knowledge that I already had. It was just basically her sitting down, texting one of her friends, and then getting up and leaving. It was a quick shoot, but Ellie did a fantastic job. Second one was the Guns N' Hoses. This was pretty much just learning Avid, which I wasn't too familiar with, mostly using a Final Cut Studio, and it was good. This project was a good learning experience because you learned the transitions and how to change colors and flip images and stuff like that, which is similar to Final Cut, but a little bit different. And since most of the television studios use Avid, you need this experience. Well, here is the sequence that Ellie did with me, and you can see her just texting on the phone. And I was actually happy with the cinematography that came out here. It was a quick shoot. We didn't have much time to do it, but Stoney gave us a couple of guidelines to go through and what we had to match, and I'm happy with it. Pretty comfortable.
Yeah, it looks good.
And then the next project that's going to come up on the monitor is the winter project. Well, it was winter, but we had a hectic week where it snowed 10 inches on Monday, and by Sunday it was all gone. So made it a little bit winter, spring, animal type of project. Stoney wanted us to get some lines of grace, and as you saw with the swans, that perfectly exemplified it. I'm an animal lover, so naturally going to the Stanford Museum helps a lot. And as you can see, there's a cow there. Nice, the framing with the slats on the fence right there. Same thing with the horse. And then here's the orange project. Last minute we had to come up with an orange project and figure out the orange disappears and then the person has to find it. And we had to create sort of a theme throughout the whole thing. Here I adapted my short for the campus story into the orange project. Pete was nice enough to do whatever I asked of him, and Joanna also. It was a really fun project, and I think it came out pretty well.
Now, what would you consider your best project, the one you feel that stands out from the rest of your work?
Definitely the winter project. I got an awful lot of good shots that came out like photographs. I mean, whenever you're working with animals, you can just frame them as you want. It's just absolutely beautiful. And then I got lucky towards the end where I saw a father and son leaving, and I quickly threw down the camera, set up the tripod, hit record, and just went about my business and recorded them as they walked away. You'll see it come up in a little while. Stanford Museum has 2 otters there, and I think that's the male. He was the only one out that day. He wouldn't stand still. He was just running around everywhere, but this time, that was the clip that I got him. And there's the cow again. He didn't move, obviously. He just stood there all day eating. Of course. Of course. And here's some, this was the only snow that was left. There was a big mound that they have, that they put out every year for the kids to sleigh ride down. And there is the father and son and other son leaving, and it was just, you could see the different lines, not lines of grace, but emotional lines with the family leaving, and as they're drifting off in the distance, you know that the film is coming to a close.
That's nice. With all this experience, what would you like to create next?
I was thinking about doing maybe a weekly or a monthly webisode of something. I don't know exactly what I want to do. Could be comedy, could be drama, could be a documentary style, maybe finding a different story throughout town or around New York City and just recording it and sharing it with everybody on the web through YouTube or a personal website.
Can you see yourself entering the television field, and if so, what capacity?
Definitely. Originally, I wanted to get into the film industry, but this experience here has changed my mind. I just fell in love with the chaos and the hecticness that goes on during a television production and in the studio. I especially love running the switcher and being the director. It's just, you have everything in the palm of your hand and you control the whole show. And I'm a control freak a little bit, so it's just a natural transition, and I just enjoyed it completely.
Great. Today we got to meet someone who shared with us a little about himself and his future endeavors. As a new television director, he hopes to apply what he learned here at NCC, and he pursues his new love of working in the studio. I would like to thank Jamie for joining us on this episode of The New Directors and wish him the best of luck in the future. We hope you enjoyed meeting this episode's future television director, and will tune in next week to meet our next new director. Thank you and have a good day.
This has been The New Directors with your host, Deb Randall, directed by Laura Dicker. I'm your announcer, Ellie Zopanides. The New Directors is a Norwalk Community College student production.